It's normally fine. Okay, hold on.
Sometimes they're very loud for me. I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know how to explain that to you. I don't know how technology works. I can't.
I'm like getting worse at technology.
I'm unwilling to discuss it. Hey, man.
I'm getting worse, dude. Hey, Max.
Hey, can you hear me?
So
Yeah.
well.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Can you hear
amazing.
us?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Johnny sometimes has these issues when we have people on that he likes to kind of. He's a bit more, he's a bit more affected. He's not played as many shows as me, so he's a bit more affected by kind of like the stage sound, the monitor sound. So he kind of likes to kind of ask for a few things here and there. How are you feeling, Johnny? Because I kind of got more of a punk
I'm
style.
feeling good. I guess you have played more shows than me, huh? Have we tallied it up?
I don't know. I'm just
Maybe
saying
that should
my
be the whole
attitude-
duration of this episode.
My
before Max
attitude-
will have to sit and listen to us argue about.
I have a bit more of a sort of new wave attitude towards monitors, I think.
I see.
Yeah. Sorry.
Max,
about
are
that.
you an in-ear monitor kind of guy? I don't really get that vibe from you, but
I've never used them.
Have you ever used a monitor?
I have used a monitor. Yes.
I remember
not-
seeing
not the in-ear one.
No, I remember seeing like a video of like, do you remember that band like Travis?
yeah,
The English indie kind of Britpop indie band?
I do.
I remember seeing like a video of like Graham Nash going on stage with them one time,
Nice.
and they tried to get him like, they were like, you need in-ears, and he was kind of like, pfft. No, I'm good. I got it.
That was around the same time when like Bowie was performing with the Arcade Fire a lot, and like a lot of the old guard were sort of stepping up, placing their bets on who'd be the new hot band or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Lou Reedy with Metallica. And
Right.
Did he play with Metallica? I thought he played with the Arcade Fire too.
Oh wait, no. I think it was with the Killers, maybe.
It's
Similar
definitely with
energy.
Metallica. It was. I remember the Metallica. I think they might have made an album, even.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lou Reed and Metallica made a record, eh?
I think so. I'm going on. I don't want to. Don't quote me.
Can we fact check that?
Go ahead. Here, I'll do it. As I was saying before Max showed up, I'm getting worse at technology because now I live out in the country and I use like, hand tools and things.
Yeah, you're kind of.
And now
backwards.
I'm forgetting all my, modern stuff.
They did make a record together.
Yeah, what's it called again?
It's called Lulu.
Really?
Yeah, that's what it says on Wikipedia, your favorite website.
Yeah. Cool.
Max, I
stories
want to
and
let you know
music.
I'm in a really, really calm mood today, and I get the sense that from your energy that you're kind of always in that state of mind.
Yeah, I don't know. People have told me that before.
You got to kind of
That's a good way to
even
be.
keel flow, it seems like.
Yeah, people in high school used to tell me that they wanted to see me get mad because, I don't know. I guess because they thought I didn't.
Feel things?
Yeah.
They probably weren't very chill people, the people saying that to you, I'm guessing.
No. You could say they were decidedly not very chill.
Johnny's pretty chill. It's a kind of chill flow vibe here because it's a really beautiful. Where are we speaking to you from?
I'm in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, so it's nighttime. Thanks for joining us so late, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was actually my fault. I don't know why I thought. First of all, welcome to the show, Max Clarke. Your last name is Clarke, is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
With an
Of the-
E?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
let's check in.
And of the musical group Cutworms. Max is a wonderful singer, songwriter, pop traditionalist, as I like to say.
Kind of beat combo.
Yeah, exactly.
approach.
Yeah. And so here's a little bit of the story that I wanted to get some information from you on, Max, is that I heard of your. I was turned on to your music by my friend Sam, but I was telling Max on the phone today that I knew of Cutworms before that because on Spotify, James, there'll be that thing when you're like looking at your own music or someone's music,
thing.
and it'll say people who like your music also like these other bands.
Yeah.
And it always said Cutworms with my own music. So then I thought that maybe we were sort of
So you were kind of like, well, maybe you
from
were
the
like,
same cloth kind of
nice,
thing.
or maybe even just competitors even.
Well, that's not really the way I view things in that sort of like quarterback versus, I don't know, who are the guys that goes up against the quarterback? The safety?
The defenseman, I guess. Some kind of defenseman.
But, so anyway, fast forward, because my friend Sam told me, I just assumed that he was from the West Coast, like a lot of people. Also, I do believe you play music, Max, with some people on the West Coast quite a bit, or maybe some of them are. Yeah.
Yeah. My bass player now lives out there in LA. And yeah, I mean, I've spent a good deal of time out there. I recorded my first record out there with Jonathan Rado.
Right.
Major player.
Major player
In the kind of the heritage revival kind of irony rock.
He just made up two new names that we didn't think of today.
Yeah,
What's that? What did I do?
Well, we spoke today and we were talking about how it's hard when you make music that's inspired by music of the past and people sort of ask you how to describe it. Drug Dealer says derivative rock, and we find that a bit self-deprecating. You know?
I don't like that one.
And Max was saying he calls himself a pop traditionalist.
I like that a lot.
But then you just made up two. What was it? Heritage
revivalist?
Revivalist irony.
Well,
rock.
no, because he does like kind of lean in a little bit at times. But Jonathan Rado, I'm a massive fan of his production. So
I just call that good music
with him. Was
I
it
call
good
it
working
good
with
music.
him?
Oh yeah, it's great.
That's like a Liam Gallagher thing. He's like, I just call fucking music, man.
That's right. Well, it's true, isn't it?
I guess.
What about that Alex Chilton interview? That's the best, where they ask him about that, like in the early 70s. They're like, you're making all this music that sounds like, the Beatles and the Kinks, but like it's the 70s now, that's over. Why are you doing it? And he's like, well, I don't know. It sounds melodious to my ears.
Nice.
I always thought that was a good answer.
I mean, don't they just say that to everyone of every time period?
Yeah, I think
so. At some point, like anyone who's ripping off the Beatles, who's usually the people that I like.
Yeah.
I always thought it was funny with like, like you kind of get these kind of, insincere types who say things like in record stores, like David Bowie. I mean, he was just ripping everyone off. And I'm like, please tell me the people who sound like him. I want to hear them. Like who are these people? Because I really like David Bowie. So like if he's like doing someone else, I'd like to know. I'll follow it back to the source.
Yeah, the only time that I can think of where I could noticeably hear an influence was when he was doing kind of like a Scott Walker type thing in his like Thin White Duke era.
That makes sense, yeah.
Sure.
But even so, he was still obviously David Bowie. It wasn't like,
Scott Walker's an interesting one because he's kind of out there on his own a little bit.
Yeah.
I think so, but like he's doing Jacques Brel to me a lot.
True. Yeah.
Too, So, but it's all. I mean, I'm hoping that it's a little bit silly. I'm hoping that we're kind of almost past all this in general because there's been so much music and everybody's just making all kinds now that maybe it's becoming pastiche to just talk about how you sound like other bands.
I think
because it's like, well, what else are you supposed to
I think
do?
that kind of the atomization of like indie rock culture, or like the pantheons that kept it kind of exclusive, like Pitchfork and stuff, and like Vice or whatever, that kind of hegemonic, like mid 2000s like holier than thou thing, where it was like, I think they're all gone now, so everyone's just kind of allowed to do whatever they want without being scared or criticized. Maybe, or maybe we're just older and don't care anymore.
Don't know.
I don't know. But
Does Pitchfork like your music, Max?
They've given me favorable reviews, I would think. I mean, they haven't like panned me, which is good. But I can't help whenever I have read the reviews, which it's really not a good idea to read reviews, by the way.
but we all do it, don't we?
But yeah, I can't help kind of feeling like most of the things, even when they say something positive, it's usually like a backhanded kind of thing. Which I don't know. I get it. You do it for the clicks or whatever.
Do you think that the power is back? No, obviously it never wasn't, but do you think the power is back in the artist's hands a little bit now?
Seems like for some people, I mean, all those TikTokers out there, they've got
they're crushing it,
making millions, doing whatever they want.
Taylor Swift's doing really well.
She does really well.
I saw that her tour is making a lot of money.
Yeah,
so that she's got.
Do you think I listened to your record, Max, and I really like it. Obviously,
thank you.
And I'm really. So when does this come out? What's happening here?
Yeah, tell us about that.
It comes out in July. It's technically not announced yet, so I don't know what the. I don't know. It's fine.
Well, the hundreds of thousands of people who listen to our podcast are going to be call your label. You'll get a call from your label.
What is your label, Max?
Jaguar.
Right.
What?
Major players in the indie rock scene.
Yeah.
We're talking UMO, I think, and maybe Lady Hawk from Vancouver used to be on that label. I remember that. Black Mountain too, right? Yeah, that's my kind of dalliance with those labels. But I always thought that Jag were like the coolest one. Actually, I don't know if you can't really
Merge.
Say anything,
I like Merge back in the day too.
Secretly Canadian. Just gonna should just list some kind of
secretly Canadian is Jaguar. No,
that's the Magnolia side of it, maybe or something.
Right. It's like a conglomerate. They're like underneath. The secretly, yeah.
Right, I see.
But,
you're kind of like the laboratory label, like the subsidiary, kind of like.
Right. Yeah.
But I want to just ask you about because we were talking about East and the West Coast, like I think that your music obviously is informed and inspired by many of the same artists and musicians of yore, the like West Coast, revivalists would be interested in too. But I think your music has a uniquely East Coast feel.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's a little bit hard, a little bit hard on the edges, a bit more kind of like Brave in the Winter a tiny bit. Not so much, but it's kind of, it's not got as much sunshine in it as Drug Dealer.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I grew up in Cleveland, so there's not that much sunshine there.
I think the mistake on the lake, they call it, don't they?
Some people do call it that. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I know about Cleveland
we live in Canada, so
it's pretty much Cleveland, Canada. I know.
So, you're going to be hearing a lot of kind of like stereotypes about American cities, East, West Coast, that kind of thing, because we're up in Canada. It's like The Shining up here,
No, Cleveland's pretty much Canada.
Right, that's true.
Yeah,
anything kind of Midwest. Yeah, exactly. Anything kind of to me like Midwest onwards, like David Lynch kind of part of America and stuff. That's just they all sound. Everyone sounds Canadian to me.
Yeah,
it just kind of blends in.
Right up in like North Dakota and
of course
the whole Fargo thing and all that.
Yeah, but I mean that's like the prairies. I mean. Someone should just delete the prairies. They don't need to be there. It's just inconvenient, especially if your base is on the West Coast. It's extremely inconvenient.
Right, for driving.
Yes, unless you want to play in that kind of Conor Oberst scene. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, I don't think anybody wants to play in that scene.
I don't know, man. I think he's fine. I think the allegations got proved
really
false.
Yeah. Oh, did he get accused as well as?
Yeah, a while ago.
There were some allegations.
Is that Omaha?
I think that sounds right to me.
Yeah.
That's where he's from?
Yeah.
Max, what are you drinking over there?
I'm drinking some of New York's finest bourbon whiskey.
Nice. It's actually barreled in New York City.
Yeah, it's actually from it's one of these. It's the Kings County Distillery.
Shout out to the Kings County Distillery here.
Yeah, I was on
I'll
tour
take a sponsorship.
Exactly.
I was on tour once in Lexington, Kentucky, and they told me at a bar that any bourbon in the world had to be made within a 10-mile radius of Lexington or something like that.
But, yeah, that makes. I think I have heard that too.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know what I'm drinking then.
Yeah.
Moonshine.
Bourbon casked or something else. I want to know something that we've never asked a guest on this show, but I am curious. How did you hear about our podcast?
From my bandmates, I think originally through John Andrews and.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
I want to say, I'm pretty sure that they were the ones who turned me on to it initially.
Because we should mention that Max is a major player in even in the Impossible Way of Life universe. We do engage with him online quite often, and he sends us funny stuff, and we appreciate his friendship.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like kind of a bit more on Instagram these days than I was, but like, I still get a bit scared going through those messages.
Yeah,
it's kind of
it's a scary place.
Yeah. Do you get how do you feel about your relationship with the internet as an artist, Max?
I mean, as an artist, I don't know, but just as a person, it's troubling.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on there a lot more than I would like to be, and it's like I don't have a lot of self-control when it comes to that stuff. Like they've just figured out how to hook me in and keep me there,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find it makes me feel really bad about myself and kind of everything that's going on in my life.
I think I said for like my one weekly time that I say it this morning to Alex, I said, I got to get off Instagram. I say those words about once a week,
Right.
And it usually happens when in really strange situations, like when you're doing something in your life that feels, you're not on your phone, you're just living your life and it feels really great and you're having a wonderful time and you're doing something that feels really special to you and unique to you, and then you go on Instagram and somebody's just doing something different. It could be anything different. And all of a sudden you think, I should probably be doing that, or I could be doing that. And then for whatever reason,
should I be doing that?
You feel jealous of something you don't actually even want to be doing because you were just thinking how you were doing something great. And then you realize, I should probably not look at this stupid app anymore.
But she looks she looks good, so I am kind of thing. That's kind of more what happens in my on my end of the Instagram kind of. Instagram kind of whatever their algorithm is. I was hanging out just earlier with my friend Agnieszka, and we were joking about if we got fat, what we'd look like. And she said, I don't know if it would look good on me. I'd probably look a little bit like Selena Gomez. And then all the way home, it was just like, that was just all that came up on my Instagram feed. It was just like photos of Selena Gomez. So
from like the voice activated.
Yeah. Triggers. I guess,
that happens a lot. That shit's
actually
crazy,
but I'm kind of in an earnest mood here. So like, if you don't mind, like I was thinking about like the relationship between like being a musician and social media, because like obviously everyone is like now expected to be a content creator, which is especially for us like heritage revivalists was like precisely not the reason we started playing music. I imagine like. I could safely speak for all three of us and say that we started playing music because we wanted to play music, not because we wanted to like create content on social media. And that's now sort of like a prerequisite to being able to like play music, unless, or at least it's spelled out that way within the industry biz. But I was talking to a friend recently about this, and he said something that I thought was quite true, that he thinks, and he plays in a relatively successful band, and he said he thinks that he's never won a single fan by virtue of anything he's ever posted. Like, he's like, sure, I mean, like, I should be more specific. Anything like any personality or like Ertzat's personality that he's meant to like conjure on his like Instagram account to like, I don't know, like catfish people to listen to his music or something has never been the reason people actually listen to it. So he's like, it may as well just be a bulletin board for like things that my band are doing, and I don't even have to do anything about it. It may as well just be like an official thing that people could just go to and be like, they're playing this show. But like,
right, like a newsletter or something.
Yeah, but his like PR team is like, no, you need to do something, like show people how like why you're using like a Ludwig Black Beauty snare, because like that means that they might click on your music and listen and like relate to it.
I don't think any of us believe that's true, though. I think that if you look, that all of our Instagram accounts are bulletin boards. Like, I think probably we just post about shows, new tracks,
sort of,
whatever,
though.
right?
Yeah, but like at the same time, like there's an expectation for people to like, you know, pepper in a little bit of like, this is who I really am, kind of, you know?
And that's when you feel like a complete loser every time you do that. You know what I mean? To me, anyway, like anytime you pepper in a little bit of like
interesting tidbit,
where you really try to make it personal, you know.
That being
like,
said,
this is what I was thinking when I did this.
That being said, like Max, for instance, I'd be like, I probably would. I'm exactly the kind of person who like genuinely would be interested if you were posting about like the ways in which you recorded certain aspects of your record.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, the whole like the like you said, the kind of Ersatz personality that you're supposed to kind of manifest on there, or that artists are kind of expected to do now. I don't know. I just could never really get the feel for it. I mean, I inevitably just can't post anything that, I don't know. Most of the time, anytime I post something, you know, remotely personal or whatever, like you said, I just immediately regret it and want to delete it, and sometimes do. So.
Yeah. I just think that for me, some people engage with their art. I would imagine you're this way a little bit. Like they want to make it. They want to put a ton of their own, you know, personality into the music, into the lyrics, into the recording process, into what they're doing. And then when it comes time to promote it, you kind of you know, long for this style that is of the past, where there just be a billboard on Sunset Boulevard that says the new Cutworms album is out this Friday or whatever, and that's it, and you don't have to go on and talk about it every single day leading up, like, you know. And
right, well, there's something to be said also for, like, you know, leaving a little to the imagination, like some of these, you know, like you guys have talked about on here before, like, you know, musical heroes of mine who've just like fallen in my mind as like in terms of respectability, of just like someone like Neil Young or something, like,
sure,
who just
name names. You can name names, Matt. You can name names.
That's the main one that's coming to mind right now. Just like,
right,
how the internet's kind of warped his mind or something.
Yeah. I mean, like, I would rather someone like him just not be on the internet at all, and not. But I guess someone who's that famous, you know, they interview him and he'll say stuff anyway. So maybe it's.
I think he's inherently provocative as a person, I suppose, and it's just like if you give someone like a platform to be provocative, especially when like provocation and like bulletin point kind of like clips of people saying shit is like sells advertising, then like he's kind of your man, you know, like he's gonna come on. He's probably not said, no one said no to him for like 50 years at this point. Right. You know what I mean? It's like no one's gonna be like, Neil, I disagree with you, you know. Like, also, baby boomers love the internet.
That's
so
true.
We know this. You know what I mean?
Is
like,
he a
they're
boomer?
more into
Is he
it.
Considered a boom? I guess he's
100%.
I don't know what the world.
My parents generate. My parents also hate it when I classify things in terms of generations like that. But I think we can all agree probably that our parents are into the internet and social media maybe even more than we are, no?
At least
Facebook,
Facebook.
I think.
Yeah.
I think that like that's a uniquely American thing or a North American thing too. Because in England, I don't think people do it too much. It's like kind of It's like we left our parents, like they were watching us on Facebook, and then we just like left them on the computer for a bit, and then they're like, and then you kind of have like almost like a civil war within about 2 years.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like. How's it feel down there right now? Like, it's blowing up, this Trump stuff, I actually don't want to talk about it at all.
We don't talk politics on this show.
What are you talking about?
I'm at the 25-minute mark. I'm grabbing another beer here. Hang on.
That's fine. You can do that. Max, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What happened with all those balloons in Cleveland? When they went, the Balloon Fest.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Was it as bad as it looked?
I think so. I remember reading something about this a little while ago. Well, there was some strange thing, like sort of like postmodern surrealist element to it as well,
100%.
where it was like, there was like a, I think it was somebody who went missing swimming or boating or something, and then they had to do a search and rescue kind of thing, but they couldn't. There was so many balloons. Yeah.
That's one of the most compelling videos I've actually ever seen, and I take everything back I said about the internet because I wouldn't have seen it otherwise.
Yeah,
and they all went to Canada anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Of course, yeah.
It kind of blew. You're on one of the lakes there, right? You got a big lake there.
Yeah, Lake Erie.
Erie is your
which is, I think, the most
poisoned one.
Yeah, of any of them. That's the claim to fame. Also, the river caught on fire in the 70s. The Cuyahoga River there in Cleveland. It's another claim to fame.
There's some stuff going on in the Rust Belt right now with some like toxic chemicals kind of like spilling out everywhere, and like no one can drink water and stuff. I'm not talking about Flint. There's some other stuff going on I was reading.
Yeah, the train derailment.
That's it, yeah.
Which was also like another like life imitating art kind of thing.
Totally.
Because I had, during the pandemic, I had just read that book White Noise by Don DeLillo.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic book. But
it is. He's one of the top living ones, isn't he? There's only about four at his. Anyway, sorry, go on.
But yeah, someone was telling me that. So they made that movie with like Adam Driver of the book of White Noise,
the Jedi guy.
Yeah, and in the book, there's a train derailment. It releases a toxic chemical cloud, and then they shot parts of that movie of the book in Palestine, Ohio, where that train then later derailed and released a cloud of toxic chemicals.
It's really bad what happened, I think.
Oh, it's really bad.
It's like raining cancer, I think. But I've never seen the movie. But with like in White Noise, isn't it like just symbolic for something?
Yeah, it's kind of a lot of things. I don't know. I probably more than I even understand.
Have you read Underworld?
I have, yeah.
That's a long one. I like
What's
the preface.
The other one? Libra?
Libra's one. Yeah, we got Libra on the docket.
Read that one too.
Underworld's preface is good, isn't it? It's all that baseball stuff.
Yeah. That's and also he goes into a bit of like it's also the like kind of memorabilia and nostalgia kind of fetishizing, because the one guy's like he's after this one home run ball.
Yeah.
That he's trying to track down. Which I guess I was trying to segue that back into what we were talking about, but I lost the train of thought.
Sometimes baseball will do that.
That
for an East Coast guy.
That's like the curse of like a baseball play-by-play.
So who's your hockey team up in Cleveland? Chicago?
Probably be
no, there's another one. No, you got Columbus.
Minnesota,
Columbus.
Minnesota, maybe.
Blue Jackets.
We used to have Yeah.
Columbus, yeah. But they're really bad.
Right. Yeah.
You get Tim Hortons there though. That's a Canadian thing.
There's some
He
of
lives
those.
in Brooklyn, man.
No, man, we're talking about nostalgia here, and time's
I know,
painful.
right,
We
yeah.
all know that.
Tim's might have not have even stretched across the border back when Max was a kid.
Max
though.
just said it was there.
Okay, fair enough. Should we? Okay, we're at the 30-minute mark here. Are we going to even attempt to enter into what we had?
I want to
previously?
because I'm really excited to listen to you two talk about it, and I'm just going to kind of pepper in some kind of satirical.
Why don't I set this up? You
Set
love
it
this
up.
when you get to do that.
I don't know shit about John Lennon, man. Honestly,
Oh, sure. You're closer to him than all of us.
well, maybe
Geographically.
maybe geographically, psychotically,
Genetically,
for sure.
psychotically.
On my day, I can look like him.
Yeah. Here's the setup to this is that we were trying to think of a topic to talk about with Max, and I was emailing with him, and he sent me a really, really lovely list of artists that he's really into and who he's influenced by, who he knows a lot about, who he'd love to talk about. It was a wide range of musical styles.
KD Lang, Eartha Kitt,
Exactly. Yeah.
Taylor Cutie.
Yeah, Shania Twain. And but basically where we settled on was Beatles. And I'm not going to say how we arrived at that juncture, but basically it's a Beatles podcast pretty much half the time, would you say, James?
I mean, I think it's all Beatles, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I've always said.
And when I listened to your record last night, this is the new Cutworms record. I should tell
And thanks
everybody.
so much for letting us have an advanced copy of it, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to it.
I listened to the entire record last
I listened to it today
night.
on my way home from the studio, and I really thoroughly enjoyed the whole thing.
Yeah, and we were originally going to talk about John Lennon's solo career, but then I listened to the new Cutworms record, and I thought it was so cool that a lot of it really sounded to me like it didn't sound exactly like this, or anything like that.
Hey, we're
Like,
over
it's-
that, Johnny. We're over that bit. The
but
derivative
it
thing.
had the spirit of
You wanted to
early
say
John.
jouissance there, didn't you? Or something?
I was going to say something like that. Early John, which is something I rarely hear. I hear late John in records all the time.
that's
Okay,
how they do
the
it.
slapback.
Yeah.
Okay, the big drum sound, the double
Spectre
tracking of all
John.
the. I hear it all the time, everywhere I go.
All that horse
okay,
shit.
but I rarely hear people doing like "Ask Me Why, John." You know what I mean? Like that kind of vibe. So there was a little bit of that, and a lot of Buddy Holly too. I can tell you like a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Ask me why. I love that song. That's a good one off of that first record.
Yeah, it's one of my faves. And so then I sort of pivoted and I thought, why don't we talk a little bit about early John versus late John? Because I don't know that we've ever broken it up. I know we've done a little bit with Paul, but kind of what that means, and possibly, definitely not enough time right now, but I was thinking we could rank them against each other, but I don't think that's it. We'll have to have Max back again.
Yeah,
for that,
I'd like to do that, though, actually. Now I think
because
about
we've
it.
ranked John Lennon as a whole, but we've never ranked early John and then late John, because I feel like technical ability changes and gets worse, weirdly. Would you agree?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It could be heroin.
I feel like his technical ability is a lot better in the early.
He's rode hot, I suppose.
Yeah.
No, they're all hopped up on speed in those early days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My kind of
That helps.
drug. For sure.
So, where to begin? I don't know. I guess where do we draw the line?
I'd like to start there. Where do you
Yeah.
think it changes? Like, when does he become late John?
Well, I have where I'd say, but I want to hear what Max says first. Okay?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I was almost going to say between Rubber Soul and Revolver.
So at the same time as the Beatles become late Beatles.
Yeah. But it might be more like right after Magical Mystery Tour.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I was gonna say that the turning point is the song "Tomorrow Never Knows."
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like turn off your mind, relax. You know what I mean? It's the last song in Revolver. He's kind of like set. He's putting it out there. He's like, the past is gone. We're moving forward here. This is it. But I kind of like the Magical Mystery.
Okay,
Tour
here's
thing.
an idea. Like thinking about it more, just in terms of like his like descent into pain. What about like In My Life? Very personal kind of. Sort of like proto-imagine kind of energy.
Very early John to me, though. Because there's
the
pain
song
in those early
the
songs.
song is. Yeah, I guess you would know.
Help is also super a painful song. But very early, like early John deals with the pain, but in a more subliminal way.
Like less kind of primal scream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yoko's not there saying, put it all out there straight up, you know?
Because
he said in interviews like that those early songs, he wasn't conscious of it. He was just writing songs, like trying to write hits.
Yeah.
But the things that he was writing about, like he realized later, were subconsciously coming out or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Which is kind of cool.
So maybe it's like when he starts, because I would say Tomorrow Never Knows like is more of like a Beatle, has more of a Beatles legacy than John. Because you're thinking like, because it's not really, it's kind of vapid, like the sentiment, right? It's kind of turn on, tune in, drop out.
Yeah.
He's not.
Yeah, the lyrics are just.
It's like Lucy in the Sky or something.
Well, he just took them word for word out of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, I think, or the Bhagavad Gita or something.
Okay,
one of those.
Right.
Well, the Krishnas were around a lot, so it could be the Bhagavad. But also kind of has like a Burroughsian cut up technique energy as a song. Yeah. So I kind of think he's like, maybe it's when he starts really descending into visceral pain and it's just all coming out. But I don't want Late John to start after the Beatles, really.
No, I don't think it does. I mean, for me, you could make the argument, as much as I don't want to, that it starts the day he meets Yoko Ono or something as well, because she was such a muse to him.
Yeah, an artist.
But at the same time, I think I can just hear it in the music that on Revolver, there are certain songs that are early John vibe to me. Like She Said, still kind of feels like that to me.
Yeah, like Dr. Rollins stuff's a bit twee and kind of just like, he's still just kind of like cheeky wink wink vibe.
Yes. Whereas when we get to Sgt. Pepper, I don't think that any of those feel like early John at all to me. Lucy in the Sky, Day in the Life.
And then She's So Heavy in Abbey Road, he's Late John.
Oh yeah. He's long-haired, white suit, full on. Even White Album's full. If he's singing about heroin, early John's dead and gone. Everybody's got something to hide except me and my monkey. I mean, that's a far cry from Tell Me Why You Cry. He
talks a lot about slapping women around in the early days, I guess, but that was of the time.
In songs?
It's a bit of it, isn't there?
Oh, Run for Your Life, yeah.
That kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not trying to...
big one.
Yeah. And it's getting better all the time, I guess.
That's Paul.
Yeah.
But yes. Oh, no, it is John, kind of that part.
Yeah, he kind of chimes in on it. He's like,
chimes
you
in
want to
just
know
for that."
what's happening in what I need right now? Kind of. Like, I mean, it's, he's leaving it all out there, I guess. Are you drawn to early John, Max? Are like you drawn to that music? I always think that like early Beatles, it's so optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved that stuff. I mean, not that I don't obviously love the later stuff too, but I feel like in those first few records, especially like Hard Day's Night and
Yeah, I would say that's the one that's the most optimistic to me.
they
Rockin'.
they were just I don't know. They were just like churning out like pure gold, like one
Yeah.
after the other. And it was like not I like what I like about it is that it wasn't like overthought too much either.
Totally.
I think that early John, the thing is it's so beautiful, there's this kind of innocence and this childlike optimism, but also it's profound, his writing. But there's something about those early records that when you listen to it, his voice is really pure. You know what I mean? And he hasn't really been that I don't know, beaten down by what's happening with the Beatles with their success.
Cynicism.
He's exciting. Yes, exactly. There's no cynicism there, and like there's just something about his voice that is so nice to listen to on all of those songs when it's double tracked and upfront, and the melodies are just perfect and beautiful. And like Max says, they're churning the songs out one after another, and you don't want to turn it off.
Yeah, I mean, like the melodies, like you said, or like I think earlier on the phone you mentioned like melody music. Like I feel like it's like that's like the epitome of melody music. Like they were on a certain level, it didn't necessarily matter what he was singing about. Like with some of those melodies, it was like the music itself, like speaks so much.
Yeah.
Do you consciously, as a writer at this point in your career, like try and figure out chords in the way that they would have figured them out? We make fun of it on the podcast, like they're kind of like going after chords, because some of those songs are deceptively they're not simple, like they're deceptively complicated, particularly melodically, as you said. Do you kind of like chase that down a little bit when you're writing?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, like, well, I've listened, I don't know, more and more, maybe just because I'm getting old, but listening to jazz a lot more and like
phrasing.
I've just I'm not like really smart enough or like classically trained enough to like know my way around that stuff. So like if I stumble onto like what sounds to me like a jazz progression or chord thing, like I'll get real excited about that and try to make something out of that.
I remember there being like an E flat in here, probably wrong, but like in Here, There, and Everywhere. I remember I had like a chord book of it as a kid and thinking it was like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
They got a lot of songs. Even that Surfin' USA is in B flat. I always thought that was funny.
What's your favorite key, Johnny?
Key.
Yeah, to write songs, and where do you feel comfortable? Where are you?
I would say that
kind of a G guy, aren't you?
No, I'm a C guy. I would say that a C has won for me.
You, Max, where do you switch it up, or do you kind of stay at home base here with this?
I tend to move around quite a bit. Like especially lately, I've found myself like starting writing something in one key and then getting like running into like a roadblock with it, and then so I'll just like switch keys a lot, and then sometimes I can like trick myself into doing something that I wouldn't have done.
What do you write on mostly?
Mostly guitar, like acoustic guitar, and I have like I can never get access to a real piano being in the city here, but sure. I've got like just a little fake keyboard thing that I bang around on.
We all need Wurlitzes, really, don't we?
Oh yeah, those are so expensive now. Though.
It's crazy. We should have.
I have a Rhodes here. I'm looking at it right now that was lent to me that I'm going to get fixed up and use.
Rhodes are a bit weird, I find, because you kind of almost need to be able to play them. There's like an element of them that's kind of like played, whereas the Wurlitzer sort of kind of plays itself or something. That's just my take. But,
perhaps, yeah, they're pretty similar.
It's a different instrument to write on, though, isn't it? The piano. It kind of like you end up like writing all sorts of different melodies, I find, and then because it's so physical and like photographic or something.
Well, piano is cool because for those of like the three of us, I think are guitar players probably before piano. And the cool thing about you switch to piano and then you hit a chord, and there's like a bit of magic in that mystery. You know what I mean? You'll hit a chord and you'll be like, ooh, like now I get this lyric idea. That's
and it's
cool.
A C.
And then it's just like a major seventh chord or something. You know what I mean? But you think it's like you've invented something new. You know?
I feel like the major seventh chord's more of a West Coast like heritage thing.
Could be.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about that is you can do like the major seventh, and then you'll have like, depending on what your left hand bass notes are doing, you can play with that a lot more, and like it changes it so much. Whereas it's really hard to do that kind of thing on guitar.
Yeah, I know.
You kind of get into that magic chord
unless
territory.
you're like Lenny Bro or something, and you're tuning the E string differently, and then playing it with your thumb.
Eric Johnson, and then
double neck guitar or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mandolin,
Taurus pedals. The same time as playing acoustic.
But I wanted to just because I
didn't mean to interrupt you when you were talking about John Lennon. Then
no, I wasn't. It's just that I've had 2 beers and I haven't had a drink all week, and so all of a sudden I got a little tipsy, and I was like
Tuesday,
not getting.
Johnny.
I know, man. I have
week.
no problem. I was 2 beers here. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. I was trying to get to this point, which was that, like, to what Max was saying about the melodies, that there's something about it. I don't know how to explain it. That when you could put on a song by John Lennon that is so emotional lyrically that he's written, like Mother or something, or Imagine, or
I've heard of it.
I don't even know. Happiness is a Warm Gun, you know, that it's more visceral and more powerful, you know, on paper. But something happens when I listen to This Boy.
Right.
Or to Anna, Go to Him, when he belts out that middle 8 or something, that all of a sudden I get this like chill, this tingly thing that's happening that only John can do on those early songs, and I don't really know how to explain it, but like there's something really special about that. You know what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. There you go. That's it.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I can't really add much to that.
Well, you're talking about the sublime here, aren't you? You know, and you start adding kind of conjecture and words and descriptions onto that kind of stuff, and it's complicated because you kind of just immediately words kill that kind of stuff.
It's true.
Gilding the lily.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Do you know Devin Williams? Have you heard of him?
I know
Max?
that. I know that. Oh wait, no. Yeah.
He's an LA singer-songwriter, a friend of mine. I used to play drums in his band, actually. But when I listened to your record last night, I actually thought of Devin, too. Because his music is very complimentary to yours. And I wondered if you knew him. But he has an album called Gilding the Lily, which is what reminded me of that.
Yeah, I know that name. Maybe I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, you would like it, man. We got to start making a playlist.
Yeah.
Somebody told us that we should start making a playlist after each episode of like music we reference and then posting it or something. Yeah.
I feel like people who listen to this podcast know far more about music than we do. That's always been my kind of interpretation. Is there's nothing I've ever said that was revelatory about nothing.
They also clearly have a lot more energy and time because they come up with all these great ideas of things you should do, you know?
I feel like you guys have pretty good takes on stuff that I've heard in the episodes I've heard anyways.
I appreciate that.
Thanks, man. We appreciate that.
When you're recording music, so you made a record with Jonathan Rado, and when you've recorded this newest record that you made, are you consciously recording it to sound old? And do you think you can make that kind of music but not do that?
Yeah, I mean,
good question.
I'm not consciously, people have asked me that. Like, I guess I'm not consciously trying to make it sound old. But I don't know. Only way I can think of it is that 95% of the music that I love and connect with is old, so that's what sounds good to me. So I'm like, doing that, but I have had the thought of, like I could just take
Like
these same songs,
throw a trap beat on it or something.
yeah, just like put drum machines and synth on it, and like just arrange it differently, and it would be perceived in a completely different way.
I mean, that's kind of how songs work, I think. I think that's true. But that doesn't discount away from the fact that, like, we all fetishize certain things. I mean,
I feel
the canon of songs it's not really changed too much, I don't think, over time.
Right. There's still, it's mostly still like verses and choruses and,
Yeah, it is. And like
riffs,
yeah.
Riffs for sure. But there's obviously like we chase this stuff down a little bit too. Like the sound of stuff. I'm not suggesting you're like pulling like amps out and like making sure there's like dust from the '60s on it or anything. But like, but people have done that for sure.
Oh yeah, I know.
I think that. It probably. I mean, that music sounds great.
Like the Black Keys, I'm sure they
dig it. Why not?
Require dust
and
grease
blues.
on all of their. Like all their all-tech
barbecue
gear.
Sauce and stuff like that.
I don't know, another from Akron, so it's be kind of like rubber, like kind of
I don't know,
rubber stuff.
Max, I'm telling you, man, this is actually like I'm just doing research right now because
on John Lennon.
No, because I get asked like a lot of the same questions about like this kind of thing from people, and so I'm just gonna start using your answers because they're way better than mine, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
About like the recording why you do certain things, but the answer is exactly the same. I just like old music the most, so that's how it comes out. But I wanted to say. You asked me a question. I was at the airport and I did one of those. I'd never even done it before. One of those ask me a question.
That was you trying to, imbue your personality onto the iWall franchise.
It was kind of fun. You did it too, James.
Yeah, I did it, but I was having a mental health crisis. It's different.
Okay. Well, maybe I was too. I don't know. And you asked me, what are your thoughts on Autotune? And I noticed that question. And I was like, this is really interesting to me that the guy from Cutworms is asking me what are my thoughts on Autotune. So I want to ask you right now, what are your thoughts on Autotune?
I think it's an affront to God. I think it's one of the worst things that's ever happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like the way that like R&B and hip hop uses it is fine.
Yeah,
mostly, but like, I don't know, like the it just like makes me feel really bad when I hear it. Is the only way that I can really describe it. Like I feel like it's like a betrayal and wrapped in like I don't know, like I could go off for a long time about it.
So you're not a fan of like the new Stones stuff, like where Jagger's kind of tuned up some of.
But I didn't know if you meant like
mistakes,
tuning or like actual where it's like audible auto tune.
No, that's fine.
Because I think right. That's the difference.
I mean, it's
right?
like I mean, there's a lot of the older acts that are still performing like understandably like lean on it a lot, even in live performance and stuff, but it's just like bizarre to me. Like I was watching this a couple months ago, this like tribute to Paul Simon's songs where it was almost like they had all these people like paying tribute to him as though he were dead, but he was there. But he had, they had like Stevie Wonder and like Sting and all the
classic guys,
right? People who are like
a living funeral. It's like that Curb Your Enthusiasm episode.
Yeah, it was basically that. But like the ostensibly the greatest talent we have to offer, but yet they're all like audibly auto-tuned. So it's just like bizarre to me. I don't know, like what does that say about
it's particularly bizarre in that circumstance, because I would say that one of the things, this is kind of like I'm taking a slight path of deviation from what you're talking about, but do you think that musicians were, because of the way in which music was received and played and the way in which it was disseminated amongst people and culture, musicians had to be so much better.
I do think there's an element of that.
So tuning kind of makes sense to me in the sense that like the way in which technology can. There's a great like what's her name? Is it Susan Collins, the woman who recorded Prince, or is it Susan Rogers?
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember her name. One of those people.
I don't know.
Rogers, I think.
Rogers. She's amazing, and like she's like this. She's a lecturer now, but she was Prince's engineer during all the sort of the big records, and extremely well spoken about like and not like a purist, like about the relationship between like musicians and technology, and how it's a two-way relationship, and it impacts us in as much as we impact that, like it impacts us back and stuff. And it changes our relationship with like the music that we play. Most noticeably, I think she talks about like structure and arrangement, where like, you know, if you were making a song like with Prince, he had 24 tracks. That's like the height of technology. So it's like you got like, you're in it for the day, you get kind of 19 tracks in, then you put a vocal on the next 4 and you bounce that vocal down onto one, like out of like picking bits out of it. And if the song doesn't sound good, then it's like, well, we'll just re-record it. There's something wrong with the arrangement. Whereas now we would be like, maybe I need to put a French horn on it. Maybe I need to tune the vocal. Maybe that's the thing that'll get it over the hill, you know? Like, and I think that people just had a different relationship with all of those things, probably, you know, prior to the invention of unlimited tracks and unlimited consequences.
I think that what you said though, Max, also is very interesting, and it is in a way that I haven't thought about it before, that you see all of these people, whatever, on like maybe you have whatever it be, the Grammys or whatever it is, and they're all on this big stage and they're supposed to be the best humanity
Stevie's not tuning, is he?
Has to offer musically. And it's being tuned up. I know what you mean. There's something fundamentally wrong with that. I think quite that.
There's like a psychological thing there where, like, you know, like the humans wanting to finally just become the machines that we're making or something like that. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think it's about courage at this point?
I don't know if it is. I think it's probably more about like the bottom line of like some company that's putting on these events or whatever that like
demands perfection.
Or it's like they've like focus tested, grouped it out to the point where it's like they know that this sound will make a certain amount of money, and it's like a known factor that they won't mess with.
You think it's that sinister that tuning brings in more advertising dollars?
Probably.
I don't think it's a stretch to think that. No,
you don't. But music's so pure, is it not?
Well, so are films, but they still make Spider-Man 9. 10,
well,
11,
like we get the
12
culture we
every
deserve. I mean, like that.
That's
like
it.
You watch those
Music's
fucking movies. You know what I mean? Like I've never even seen a fucking Marvel movie. I'm still here watching mid-90s rom-coms. You know what I mean?
Yeah, music's fallen into that same trap, though. I feel like to an extent.
Yet at the same time, it absolutely hasn't, based on the conversations that we seem to be able to have with musicians such as Max. I think
we're talking mainstream though right now.
Oh yeah, but
we're talking
we can always hop. We're not though. We were talking about tuning and Paul Simon.
That's
I think
mainstream.
I think there's something like, you know, fundamentally like the whole thing that makes listening to singing exciting is the fact that, or listening to it or doing it is the fact that it can very easily sound like shit. So like if you have to like be willing to like sound bad, I think.
Sure.
Like if you're doing it, or if I don't know.
So it is about courage, like James said. That's probably true.
Or a lack of courage, yeah.
Using it's about a lack of courage. I think that like what I mean is that like now when technology is available, right? And the right thing to do would like take the sort of rocky route and like go for a fucking like run, like, you know, box a little bit, get back in the studio and try and do a better vocal. you know, like, but
Yeah.
it's easier to like order a Domino's and be like, fuck it, just tune it
Yeah.
up.
Very true.
You know, but
Yeah,
like
that-
the consequences of that are probably more visceral than we realize on our understanding and appreciation of the songs, because maybe that lack of effort comes through in other ways.
I think it does. I mean, I think it also, it's just like makes all these kind of, you know, for lack of a less mean way to put it, like talentless people, like be all like smugly thinking that they, you know, are like really great. Or so, I'm thinking of like TikTok people, like that are they're like, I'm not on there, but I see like videos from there and
Yeah,
stuff.
you got to
where,
take
like,
a digital detox here, Max, before
I
your
know,
record comes out.
Yeah,
You know, take a couple of months off, because you're gonna have to. They're gonna force you back on there. You're gonna be doing those videos if you're.
I
got to
get out of here.
Yeah, you should be.
You need to find.
Yeah,
a
you're on
safe
Zoom right
space,
now.
man.
You should be. Yeah, you should be like just straight up out in like a cabin in Montana right now, just prepping for this next record.
Ruby
cycle.
Ridge style. Maybe not that, actually. That would be
Well, the new record. Do you have a title for the album?
It's self-titled.
Self-titled. Cool.
eponymous.
Well, it's coming out in June. Tell us the date again.
July.
If we just are we the official kind of album announcement? Does this mean we need to put
I'm
this?
pretending that.
We can
I'm
just
pretending that.
put this out like at your convenience. I don't want you to kind of get in any sort of trouble. But it would be kind of like, you know, since we're talking about Autotune and stuff like that, it would be kind of a rogue punk East Coast move to just be like, I fucking just did it. You tell your press team, presumably like Grandstand or
Right
something.
now.
Be like, I just fucking already dropped the record. It's out.
We won't make you. That'd be sick, though. Yeah,
They'll
But how
be
about
stoked. It'll be like, sweet. Was it on like Stern or something? You're like, nah. It was just
Better.
no. Yeah.
More
More niche, maybe.
How about? Would you mind maybe, since it's early April now, in July? Would you like to come back when the record's about to drop and talk to us again? And maybe by then you'll be doing like auto-tune and all kinds of stuff. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
just-
Yeah, I'd love to.
yeah.
If you got
But
the
the record-
stems, I could tune them up for you. I could do kind of like I could throw together some kind of like, I don't know, like baggy Manchester kind of remix.
That'd be cool.
I wish your response had been, dude, we did it all live. Sorry.
Nice. There's a lot of bleed. How do you feel
Yeah,
about
man.
bleed?
One track, dude.
Oh, Bleed's fine.
Yeah.
Bleed's
Let's
good.
just before you go, let's deal with some key concepts here. Yeah. Bleed's good. we amping the bass or we DIing?
Depends on the song.
Okay, you'll do both sometimes.
Yeah.
Then there's mixing to do, you know, which is not very kind of 70s as far as I'm concerned.
Reverb in post production, or
We
you
committing?
committing to effects in tracking?
Usually it's like being printed as I'm doing it.
Ooh, I love it.
Commitment, courage.
But I've also, you know, as of late, wanted to try to like peel back the reverb a little bit. You can start leaning on that a little too much.
Certainly can.
Yeah.
Start replacing it with some slap. You know what I mean? Get into your late 70s John instead of early.
Oh, he'll slap it up. Max will slap it up, dude. I've heard it.
Yeah.
Slap on a snare drum, yes or no?
Sometimes, yeah.
It's a big yes for me sometimes, as you know, James. Here's another one. You're going into the studio. You got a record to cut. Acoustic guitar in your hand. Do you change the strings or keep them old?
Keep them old.
Nice.
Flats or rounds on the bass?
Flat.
You changing your guitar strings when you're going in there, or you're just going in kind of
Yeah,
fucking...
he says.
Well,
no,
we're
he's-
talking acoustics, we're talking electrics now.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
No, I prefer to play the older ones that
too.
are deader.
We're toweling these drums or what?
I like a towel on a drum, yeah.
Yeah.
What about a wallet?
A wallet. I don't know about that trick.
I feel like I'd like to answer some of these questions for Max right now.
Yeah,
I feel
let's see if
we
you
have
can get
we
it
have a
right.
similar philosophy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Let me give
Feel
you
free.
one then. Okay. Like, we stereo
me
micing the
one.
piano or what, Johnny?
Stereo micing the piano. That's a yes, I would think. But no room mic no tone mic. Just straight up stereo mics.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's good to have it's good to have the option.
Yeah.
You got some
that's true.
harmonies that need to be done. There's a group of people doing them. You doing them single, or you getting everyone around one microphone, CSN style?
I wish I could have said that I've experienced that, but I haven't.
Yeah, no, separate. Unfortunately, yeah, I'm with Max on that. Although I've done it a little bit, but then regretted it. You know, you have too many beers, and then you're like, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Get everybody around.
You
and
hard
you're like,
panning percussion?
hard, like LCR
100%.
style. I've been straying from that, James, because the tambourine's cutting through too hard on me on that left channel, man. I like to tuck it in a little
Try
now.
listening to a band called the Beatles, Johnny. See what they did. And there's this whole thing called Motown as well that kind of dealt with that problem.
I know.
So what's your hopes and dreams for this record, man?
It gets to the top of the pops.
Yeah, you want to do that? But
No,
like touring would be a big one. I
will be touring in September-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's you're gonna come up here? I mean, bands sometimes do.
You should,
Where are you,
man.
Vancouver?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Vancouver.
We'll come down to Seattle if you don't.
I think we will this time.
That'd be great. Well, we will definitely be at the show. Come back in July, talk about the record. I have to go and have dinner. I want to say to you that I love track 5, Is It Magic, was my favorite that I heard on the album. And Max Clarke, everybody, Cutworms, check out is it a band? Is it you? Is it or is it a band? Like you have a band, but the name is you. It's basically you, right?
Yeah, it's basically me.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I really
everybody-
appreciate you taking the time, and I'm sorry that
Yes.
Johnny didn't realize you were on the East Coast because you have a West Coast energy, but I kind of picked it up right away. And I wouldn't make anyone stay up till 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, next time we'll do it at 11 a.m. our time.
Coffee ones are
just
fun.
for you. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks
I'm
so much
really-
for your time,
yeah.
man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And next time we'll do some ranking or something, guys.
We'll talk about anything about
yeah.
John Lennon.
Well, this was a lovely episode.
was.
Thanks again, Max.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Okay.
You too.
Bye, guys.
Bye.